Now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. We have Vimbai in Lagos steering the pot. Please go ahead, Vimbai.
Steering the pot.
Yes, well, you know, today our time is fast spent. Of course, it was important for us to get a live update from New York, but we're going to zoom through these stories.
Sure.
Let's kick off, of course, with This Day, our newspaper of record, which is leading with economic developments and plans to provide succor at the grassroots level. That's World Bank backs federal government's groundbreaking ward initiative. This is as Bagudu moves to boost rural economy and the central bank supports expansion with new MPR. Now, this is a report is all about the World Bank backing the Renewed Hope Award Development Program. This is a program which aims to translate the macroeconomic gains to the grassroots in Nigeria's over 8,000 wards. So the plan is to engage 10 million economically active people and, get them support for their businesses. So it's more like a microfinance plan. And I suppose it's a step in the right direction to acknowledge the fact that the World Bank is stepping in to create the financial buffer. Well, they haven't said they're making a financial commitment, but they said that they're backing it, they endorse it. So I'm sure that what would follow on later would be, some type of a debt instrument in support of this type of initiative. Now, of course, some of the concerns raised are the same concerns that we've always pointed out with these types of initiatives. If you remember that we already have some debt that was supposed to go towards conditional cash transfers that was supposed to benefit 15 million households. I've only gone to 2 million households thus far. And what were the issues? The issues are that, we don't have the identity infrastructure to be able to roll out. So many people are unbanked. No, there's no NIN, no BVN. Then the other issues are around partisanship. Will these things be rolled out in a non-partisan way? We know what tends to transpire at the grassroots level. And then last but not least, when these businesses have been supported, what happens to the systemic bottlenecks that we see in the value chain? Whether it be agricultural business, whether it be any other small to medium enterprise, we ask ourselves, are we also making the necessary investment in the value chain to ensure that when these entrepreneurs begin producing their goods or begin trading, will they be able to get them to market and so forth? Benga, just please, very, very quick comment on this particular initiative.
Indeed. When you look at the economic framework of the country, I'm particularly impressed, first, that observing the headlines in a couple of days, I think the economic matters have been blazing the trail, and that shows that the federal government is putting priority on really rejigging the economy and steering the economy out of the woods. But be that as it may, I would also want to commend the economic competence of the economic management team, especially the Minister of Finance and the Central Bank of Nigeria, because the small and medium scale enterprises account for 96% of the total businesses in the country. So the success of the SMEs is the success of the Nigerian economy. There is no beating about the bush about that. It also contributes about 46% of the nation's GDP and about over 80% of the nation's employment. So there is a need to stimulate economic growth by empowering these SMEs. So I think it's a welcome note on behalf of the federal government, and I say kudos to them. And I hope that, most importantly, the implementation strategy to follow through so that would stimulate economic growth for the nation.
Absolutely. And this is all we're looking for, is for these macroeconomic gains that are being celebrated on a daily basis to translate so that they can impact the pockets of ordinary people.
And
still on the front page of
right
This Day newspaper, my oh my, today, exactly. We have a lot of politics to unpack today. So on the front page of This Day newspaper leads with that visit that we saw yesterday. The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, begins consultations ahead of 2027, meets David Mark and other ADC leaders. Because of time, I'll quickly tie this into other newspapers. We look at Daily Independent. Daily Independent is also saying 2027, Peter Obi not confused on party to run for president. Of course, this all ties into the marching order, if I may call it that was made by the ADC yesterday, where they are saying that they need all of their members to be ADC members, no more one leg in, one leg out, or political tourism, as I like to call it. Also on the front page of The Punch, Coalition demands Atiku Obi's full membership. And then, still on that political note, there's a lot for us to take. Each of you will take your comments on it. On the Punch newspaper, apart from news of Coalition, there's also a story there that says Niger Delta militancy made Jonathan presidency possible. Now, this is coming from His Royal Majesty Tom Ateke, who was saying that their advocacy for the Niger Delta and the militancy that happened during that time is part of the factors that paved way for a good luck Jonathan presidency. So let's tie it all together. President Goodluck Jonathan making consultations, coming back into the political fold, looking more likely to contest in the 2027 election than the rumors we heard of him wanting to contest in 2023. However, this is on the backdrop that the ADC is saying that all members now need to be fully committed to the ADC. Atiku Abubakar, must be noted, has left the PDP, but they're saying he's not yet an official member of the ADC. Peter Obi, of course, we know, remains with the Labour Party, although he has pledged allegiance to the ADC. Rotimi Amechi has left the APC. I believe he is a card-carrying member of the ADC. Yolanda, you can go first, and then Benga. Very quickly, please. What do you make of these latest developments?
You know, I actually agree with what has been said by the ADC. I think it's very good. It's good that everybody should declare where they stand right now. It's good for us to know. You know, political season has invariably come. It's now in full swing. As you've rightfully said, Jonathan has been consulting across the party lines for months now, and we've been seeing a lot of, these meetings, but not so much that we know. Little information from last night's meeting. I would leave the deeper analysis to Benga, who happens to be our, guru on these types of affairs. But from me, I just believe that political season is upon us. People indeed do need to declare where they stand. I think that's a very important part. We've had a few back and forths in the past couple of months. We saw Nasir El-Rufai first saying he was with the SDP and then all of a sudden not. Just too many questions that are not answered. We don't know where people truly stand. So I think it's a timely thing that the ADC is saying, and we really do need people to come up and, declare which party they belong to.
Okay, if I may say, I think that this borders on strengthening internal democracy of the party, ADC. There's no way it would run that tough race of the 2027 election. And remember, we still have the Anambra election and the Osun and Ekiti governorship election, which will stand as a litmus test. So I think the internal cleansing of the party is necessary, saying that they need to declare where they stand and they should quit their allegiance to other parties. And one other fundamental thing that came out of that meeting yesterday, stakeholders meeting of the African Democratic Congress yesterday, was that they had pledged this accord for each of the candidates to support whoever wins the election. That again will go a long way in strengthening the internal democracy, because one thing that has led to implosion of many parties is that disagreement, that acrimony, that agitation that comes after the primaries, the dissatisfaction. So I hope and wish that the African Democratic Congress, which is coming up with presenting that fresh wave of leadership in the country, would be able to come up with a credible internal mechanism that will present a fair candidate that will run that race to wrest power from the All Progressive Congress ahead of 2027. So it will be a beauty to see a formidable candidate that has the support of the coalition to come and wrest power, and we'll see who wins that contest ahead of 2023 election. But it needs to also speed up because it's a race against time, because they are saying that they are yet to come up with elections for the off-cycle elections. By now, they should be tidying up the loose ends to be sure that they are on a very steadfast way ahead of the upcoming elections.
Absolutely, Gbenga, and so many issues still to be ironed out, because some people would say, well, if Goodluck Jonathan is making consultations, does that mean that the ADC also has a consensus to zone to the south? What does that happen to Atiku Abubakar, who is one of the first movers with regards to declaring for ADC and pledging his support for ADC? Punch newspaper now, staying on Punch newspaper, because if you remember yesterday, we'd done a teaser for the coronation of Oba Rashidi Ladoja, who ascends to the Olubadan throne today. And we've gotten some reports from our team on the ground as preparations are in full steam. Unfortunately, there have been some scuffles with some members of the military that have taken place. The report on the ground is that some of our Arise News television equipment has been vandalized. And we're yet to fully understand the context of the scuffle that transpired between our crew and these soldiers. As you can see in the images there, of course, our crew members are still understandably a little bit shaken up. So we're waiting for them to just calm down and ensure that, you know, they're safe and sort of sanity has been restored in that environment, so that we can hopefully cross to them live and find out what is really going on. Today is supposed to be a day of pomp and pageantry and celebration in Ibadan. So it's unfortunate to see our crew members having to, you know, endure this type of scuffle with soldiers. Right. Okay. So from all right. Okay. You know, because our time is fast spent, let's quickly move on to the New Telegraph. For one of the biggest stories that is unfolding, that will determine, you know, the credibility and the trust that people have in 2027. New Telegraph is leading with INEC. High stakes of INEC's leadership transition ahead of the 2027 polls. Now, this is a beautifully written article, and I mean, if you can get your hands on it, please do. The New Telegraph unpacks all of the dynamics. You know, they highlight the fact that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is the first INEC chairman to serve 2 terms, and as his tenure comes to an end in the next 60 days. There are also several national commissioners whose tenures will be expiring in 2026. Now, Yaga Africa released a report saying 2027 will be the most compromised and expensive election in recent history. Now, when you look at the tenures that are expiring, you ask yourself, you know, does this mean that the president will have more power with regards to appointing so many people nationally with INEC? Will it be non-partisan? How transparent will this process be? Just please, one sentence from each of you as we close. Gbenga, I'll start with you. The road to the appointment of the next INEC chairperson, what are the things that you think we need to consider for this very important process?
Okay, very complicated to make a one-liner, but I'll try my best. I think that we need to ensure that the independence and the sanctity of the ballot is preserved ahead of the 2027 election, and that will spell out the nation's electoral integrity.
And just to add my own little 2 cents on that, I'd like to just agree with what Gbenga has said and just hope that this end of one tenure and the beginning of another will bring, you know, some positive change, and we'll be able to see some transparency in how the elections that are coming before us, you know, in 2027. It's a very dicey time and people are calling for transparency on all fronts. So we hope that this is something that can follow through with those that are coming into leadership.
Absolutely.